Hello everyone, this is LLM 15 in TLE 7. Today I will discuss about carpentry. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the tools and materials used in carpentry, prepare tools and materials for a task. So let us start. This is Unit 7. Carpentry is the art of cutting and joining wood. Wood is one of the oldest construction materials used by man. Man made use of it to build his house, his boat, his furniture, his utensils, and many other functional and decorative objects. Today, woodworking is a large industry from building houses, toys, decorative panels, and figurines for homes and offices. Although there are legal control over cutting of trees is still rampant. Logging is highly regulated due to deforestation that brings floods and erosions in many lands. This unit focuses on preparation and acquisition of basic skills and concepts in carpentry. It covers the use of hand tools and power tools that can be utilized in order to transform wood into useful articles. Knowing the uses of these tools and equipment and how they are operated will be a great help in making carpentry projects. It will require knowledge, skills, and experience before anybody can operate them effectively with confidence. Wood, materials, and joinery are basic considerations in woodworking. They contribute and enhance the creativity in project making. This unit will give basic knowledge you need before starting on a carpentry project. It will orient you on the different carpentry tools and materials and their uses. It will give you a review and measurements using the English and metric systems, conversions of fractions to decimals, and the health and safety practices when you begin your workshop work. You will also have the experience of sketching plans for simple projects like flower pot, stand, and stool. Both projects will give you the opportunity to apply basic woodworking processes and wood joints. All this basic knowledge is found in this content and the 4 lessons of this unit. So, lesson 26, materials and tools in carpentry. Do you remember your HELA projects in grade 5 or 6? Have you ever made a project out of a wood? Was it fun working with wood projects which are more creative, more complex, and more functional at home? This lesson will provide you more information about wood and other materials in carpentry works. Okay, so words for study. These are the words that are, a little bit complicated and will help you understand the whole content of this discussion. Okay, first is logging. Okay, let me explain first why I don't have a camera. Okay, I just bought recently a personal computer and I haven't bought a front camera yet. So that's why you can only hear my voice without seeing my face. So please bear with me. I will buy a front camera next time. Okay, so continue. Logging. Logging is the act of cutting trees for lumber. Okay, logging is an action word. Next is deforestation, the process of clearing an area of the forest. We all know what deforestation means. It means cutting of trees or clearing an area of the forest. And byproduct is an expected product produced in addition to the main product. Okay, byproduct means mura na siya og pakapin sa main nga product. Okay? Like for example, when you go to sleep, your byproduct is your muta. Okay? The main is sleeping, and then when you wake up, there's a byproduct which is your muta. Okay? Dress lumber is a Planed and finished boards and timber. Coniferous trees, trees that bear cones like a pine tree. Graded lumber is a lumber that has been graded and stamped to indicate its grade. Lumber that is classified according to use. Kiln dried lumber is a lumber that has been dried through a heated enclosure as in a kiln or oven. Veneer or plies, thin sheets of layers of wood. One example of a veneer or plies is a plywood. Okay. Next is staggered, arranged in alternating position or order. And calibrated is graduated marks indicating values. For one example of a calibrated is a ruler na say graduated marks and values. Kanang mga mark niya mga lines man na siya graduated marks. Retract is to draw back or withdraw. Retract is the act of when you put your tongue out and you pull it back in. That's the retract action when you pull it back in. Okay, to draw back or withdraw. Okay. Now we are now on read and learn. Carpentry is the process of making objects out of wood with the use of other materials like nails, fasteners, and other hardware. Wood used in a carpentry includes two types. Hardwood, which come from broad-leaved trees like nara, molave, yakal, and kamagong. And soft woods that come from coniferous trees which are evergreen and bear cones. An example of this is a pine tree. Okay, let me show you what nara looks like. That this one. Nara. Not narrative. Nara tree. This is how a nara tree looks like. It's big and sturdy. If you have this tree in your area, let me know. See, this is how a nara tree looks like. And molave. Molave tree. And this is how a molave tree looks like. Here is its trunk. Molave. This is how a molave tree looks like. Next is the yakal. Yakal tree. Yakal is like straight siya tan-awon. Straight nga dako. That's how a yakal tree looks like. Okay? Coniferous trees. Coniferous tree. This is how a coniferous tree looks like. Mora na siya og Christmas tree. Okay? These are the types of coniferous trees. Okay? Mora na siya og maporma og kanang Christmas tree. This kind of tree usually grows on like cold climate. Okay? Let's continue. Basic materials in carpentry. First is the lumber. Trees that grow in our forests and mountains come in various types and species. They are classified, selected, and cured. Cut trees are called logs. After the logs have been cut, they are transported to a sawmill by trucks or by floating them in rivers or lakes. The logs are processed into boards and timber of various sizes. Lumber is then dried by peeling it to the stacks in the open air by placing it in dry kilns. Drying lumber reduces its weight by as much as 50%. Seasoned lumber often has approximately 50% moisture by weight. So, bugat gyud ang kahoy basta buhi pa. So, if i- i-dry ni siya, 50% of its weight is ma-reduce. So, mas mugaan na siya. Nganong bugat og buhi pa because sa moisture niya. Basa pang sod. Mao sa nakapagbugat niya. Okay? Lumber is planned to size by planners after it has been dried. The actual size of a dressed lumber is less than the common dimensions given. A board that is sawed at 1 by 6 by 12 inches contains 1 by 1/2 by 12 inches or board feet. Dressed lumber is figured as full thickness, although it is actually undersized due to the amount removed by plannings. Strip lumber, which is less than 5 inches wide, is sold by the linear foot. A piece of timber 12 feet long and 3 inches wide is sold at 12 linear feet. Veneer, plywood, and wallboard are sold by the square foot. Okay? Philippine lumber is grouped in following categories. First group is this type of lumber is usually hard with fine grain. Each of these wood has a different color and it's sap wood. What is sap wood? Sap wood meaning sapwood is the outer layer of a tree. So this is the sapwood. Okay, this white circular outer layer. Okay, for furniture and cabinet making, wood carving, musical instrument, interior finishing, and other woodworks, use this kind of wood. Okay, for the first group, nindot siya himuon pang furniture, cabinets, wood carving, musical instruments like a guitar or a piano, interior finishing, and other woodworks. Best if you use the first group of wood if you want to make these kinds of objects. Okay, so this is the first group. First is Aco, next is Batikulin, next is Bitis, Camagon, Ibony, Ipil, Lanete, Mancono, Molave, Nara, Tindalo, and Yakal. So if you have, uh, let's just search how does ACO looks like. ACO tree. Okay, this is how an ACO tree looks like. ACO tree. ACO tree. This is how an ACO tree looks like. Next is Batikulin tree. Okay, this is how a Batikulin tree looks like. This is how it looks like. So for the rest, you can search it on your own. Okay. The second type of wood is moderately hard and heavy with fine grain. So ang second type of wood, bugat siya, and also fine grain. Usually this wood is used for building construction, furniture making, shipbuilding, and others. So the kidding type of wood, the second type of wood is usually used to build houses, construction, and shipbuilding means paghimo og mga pambot, mga ships, and also furniture making. Okay, so mas sturdy gyud ni nga second type of wood, which are bambuyo, kalantas, palomaria, balonggeta, at guyo. Okay, the third group is a wood is usually used for floorings. Himuon siya og floor, kanang sawg, furniture making, and some of charcoal making. Pwede sa mo og uling. Okay? Next is the fourth group. This group of wood is used for cheap furniture, cabinet making, internal frames, and others. So kini cheap furniture, pasabot ani mura siya baratohon ni siya of kind of wood. Murag mao ni pinaka uh, low grade type of wood, which is lawan, bagtikan, almond, and daw. Okay? So remember, first group is like uh, used for musical instruments. This will be your keyword. The first group is used for musical instruments. The second group is your keyword here is heavy. The second type of wood is are the heavy woods. The third group is used for floorings, and the fourth group is the one who are cheap kind of woods. Okay, so next, grading of lumber. Lumber is commonly graded under such heading as yard lumber, structural timber, and factory of shop lumber. There are two grades of yard lumber: select and common. Select lumber is classified as according to A, B, and C and D grades. Common lumber is classified according to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 grades. Standard abbreviation to describe them as follows. Huh? Gisod na ako? Abbreviations S25 meaning surfaced two-sized. I mean two sides. S45 surfaced four sides, and KD it means kiln dried. It means the wood is kiln dried, and quar means quarter sawed. Okay? Plywood is a byproduct of lumber. It is made of large, thin layers of wood pressed and glued together to make it stronger and suited to many needs that plain woods. The thin sheets of layers of wood are actually called veneers or plies. Plywood is generally used for furniture making, wood covering, door panels, dividers, and for cabinet works. Lumber is available. Uh, Lumber is available either as sun-dried or kiln-dried. The advantage of kiln-dried lumber is that most of the moisture found in the wood has been eliminated by special drying in kilns or oven. This prevents the wood from shrinking and bending or wrapping when in use. A characteristic of wood is that it dries, it tends to shrink, bend, or wrap. Kiln-dried lumber is more expensive than ordinary sun-dried lumber. So, ang kiln-dried lumber, mas nindot siya kaysa sa ordinary sun-dried lumber kay 100% completely mawala gyud ang moisture. And if that happens, dili na siya mo shrink, bend, or wrap. Unlike sa ordinary sun-dried lumber, dili siya completely mawala gyud ang moisture. Okay? Unless og pila ka months na nimo siya sun-dried, mawala na gyud na ang moisture. Okay? Lumber is also available either in rough or smooth finish. Rough lumber is lumber straight from the sawmills, with the surfaces, although cut straight, still retaining a certain roughness. Some lumber is made available with their surfaces bland and smooth so that these are almost always ready to be used in finishing jobs. When only two sides of the lumber are made smooth, the lumber is designated S to S. S to S means surfaced two sides. If all sides are made smooth and even the lumber is designed S45, surfaced four sides. S2S means ang lumber, ang iyang two sides ray mao'y smooth. S45 means tanan sides smooth. Okay? Next is nails. The principal tool that joins and keeps pieces of wood together is the nail. This is basically a piece of metal with a circular cross section. One is pointed and the opposite has a head. So I think we already know how a nail looks like. Okay, type of nails. First is the common wire nail. Second is the finishing nail. Third is scaffold nail, and D is for roofing nail. Okay, common wire nails is the most common form of nail that has a large flat head and is used for general carpentry. Common wire nails is the most likely commonly used. Bisag asa niya, bisag kung saan niya gamit. Okay. B is the finishing nail. This is slender than a common wire nail with a smaller head that can be embodied into wood. This type of nail is specifically used when the surface of wood requires finishing such as fine varnish, which further requires the nail is most invisible from the surface. Okay? Finishing nail, gamay ni siya og head. So when you uh, borrow it inside the wood, you can hardly see it because it has a small head. Finishing nail is usually used for furnitures. Okay. Third is scaffold nails. This type of nail has two heads, so that the second or outer head allows the nail to be easily removed once the scaffold is removed. Scaffold nails are meant to be removed someday. Okay. These are only used nails temporarily. That's why it's called scaffold. The roofing nail, this type of nail is a bigger but flatter head than a common wire nail. It also had a shorter length. This is used to secure metal roofing or slate roofing into wooden purlins. The bigger head allows a more secure hold in the metal sheet and prevents the nail from going through the metal sheet. Okay, so why does this roofing nail have a big head? You can see this kind of nails on your roof, on the roof of your houses. Kanang lansa nga dako o flat nga ulo. Then why unsa may purpose ana anong dako o flat ang ulo nga nang nail? Para na makagunit siya og maayo sa inyong scene and dili ma gisi ang scene and then mulupad. Okay? Nails should be staggered to prevent the wood from splitting. Then a nail must be placed near an edge. A thin nail must be used in avoiding splitting. When it comes, that nail will split. Okay. The wood. A small pilot hole is a little smaller in diameter. Should do it first. Next is screws. We know how screws work. Um, Screws are type of fasteners used for securing wood together by simply pushing it and at the same time rotating it, and it will slowly burrow itself into the wood. Okay? Bolts and nuts. These are always partner. Okay? Bolt is the one with a head. Nuts is like the donut one. Okay? Let me just bolts and nuts. Okay, this is how a bolt and nut looks like. Okay, these are the bolt and these are the nut, the donut structure I'm talking about. Okay, next, the fastener. Fastener is the most common type of fastener used in working as a hinge. These are used to fasten two pieces of wood that are movable like a window, panel doors, cabinet trunks, chests, and boxes. Okay, you can see fasteners commonly on your door. The one that squeaks when you open it, the metal that connects the door and the wall, that's called a hinge, and it is considered as a fastener. Okay, you can also find these hinges on a cabinet, panel doors, chest, or any kind of boxes. Okay, there are different kinds of hinges. Chest hinge. First one is butt hinge. It is the most commonly used yet the most difficult to fasten. Next is the chest hinge. This hinge is used for chests where one leaf is folded so that when fastened it is invisible from the outside. It is fastened like a butt hinge. See, continuous hinge. Continuous hinge is like a uh, long hinge greater in length. It is used to fasten piano covers or radios. If you can imagine a piano cover, taas ba yan siya tanawon, so it needs a longer hinge. This is how a continuous hinge looks like. Okay, this is a continuous hinge, taas. Okay, screen hinge is used for doors that can be pushed and pulled as it is fastened like a butt hinge. Okay, next is glue. We know how glue works. It puts two things together. Okay, next is the measuring, marking, testing tools. Folding wooden rule. This is how a folding wooden rule looks like. Ruler, we all know what ruler is. Full seal tape. This is how a full seal tape looks like. Mao ni siya ang mo retract. Mobalik sa iyang kuan kanang ba mo ni retract. Tri-square or squala. This is how a tri-square looks like. Marking gouge. This is how marking gouge looks like. Knife. Dividers. It looks like a compass, but in carpentry it's called dividers. Scriber. This is how a scriber looks like. Scratch owl. This is how a scratch owl looks like. It looks like a lot of an ice pick. Okay, and these are the cutting tools. Rip saw, crosscut saw. Crosscut saw has a what does this call? Its teeth. It's different from a common saw like the rip saw. Okay, its teeth. Some of its teeth are deeper, and I don't know. It looks so dangerous. Next is the back saw. Back saw looks like a blade. Coping saw. This is it. This is how coping saw looks like. Keyhole or compass saw. This is how a keyhole or compass saw looks like. This saw will is useful for cutting in tiny spaces. Okay. Next is the planes. This plane is used to smoothen a surface of a wood. Okay, jack plane, jointer plane, smooth plane, and spoke shaves. Okay, files. These are used for carving. First is the socket chisel. I mean chisels, not files. So first is socket chisel, and next is the paring chisel. And mortise chisel and butt chisel, gouges, and boring tools. Are not boring, but boring like boring, you know, like sticking the metal inside. First is the auger bits, two is brace, bradawl, four hand drill, and electric drill. Uh, the only convenient here is the electric drill. Thus, it only uses electricity without any force by a human. Okay, next is the driving or holding tools. First is a claw hammer. It drives the nail under the wood. And the mallet is also kind of a hammer. It also makes any object drive into the wood. Next is the classification of holding tools. Wood, working vise. This object will help you hold something sturdily. Like if you don't want the wood moving while you are hammering it, just put it in a woodworking vise and adjust the grip, and it will not move anymore when you hammer it. Okay, bench vise and clamps. Okay, this is how a clamps looks like. Okay, how to okay, we are now on how to requisition of materials in the supply office. Okay, first is to request for a requisition form from the personnel of the supply office. This is a form where you will write or fill up the form with the description of materials that you need, its quantity, unit cost, date, and purpose. And third step, sign the form of as requisition. Indicate your position, if any, if you are the carpenter or mason. Fourth is submit to personnel of the supply office. Okay. Next, on the receiver side, how to receive materials from supplier. Okay. First, receiving personnel receive the delivery receipt. Personal ex- Second step is personal inspect material as to specification, cost, and other information indicated in the delivery form. Arrange goods for inspection and approved by concerned authorities. Inspect the materials and tools carefully, count the number of pieces, measures length and width as specified by the requisition form, examine the physical condition of each item, see to it that it is in a good condition and the parts and accessories are complete and free from damages and defects. If there are defects or some items are missing, report this to the person in charge. Fourth is prepare report after inspection and approval. Provide duplicate copies to concerned departments as such purchasing and accounting departments. Okay? Next is how to borrow tools from the supply office. First is secure borrow slip from personnel of supply office. Second is fill up borrower slip with needed information. Sign the slip as borrower together with ID or other requirements. Secure approval of authorities indicated in the slip. Submit slip to personnel of supply office, secure supply office, or person in charge. Get the tools being borrowed and return the tools as stipulated in the slip. Supply office personnel checks quantity and condition of tools before giving clearance to borrower. Okay, so I think that's it. This is for your review this midterm, fourth midterm. So this is your TLE teacher. I hope you all understand this discussion. It's quite long and boring, I know, because you can see my face, my beautiful face. So this is me, your TLE 7 teacher, saying keep safe, always wear a mask, uh, keep social distancing, and wash your hands daily. Thank you for listening.